Well, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to our conjunction weekly video. And today's conjunction is going to be on Mars and Mercury. And what happens when you have Mars and Mercury in the same house in your horoscope, which actually creates a conjunction. And this video specifically talks about when Mars and Mercury are within 10 to 15 degrees of each other, because that's where the conjunction really shows its effect. That's where the conjunction becomes alive. And so we're going to look at, how this conjunction operates, what it does, because it's not just a simple explanation that you might hear on the internet. It's simply, there's a lot more methods that go into understanding a conjunction. And especially for that, if you do not know what conjunctions you have, what planetary placements you have, for that, check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects at the Speed of Light. And especially in my conjunction books, I talk about 2 all the way to 8 planetary conjunctions and how to actually study them in astrology. So check that out at the link here, including my new magazine on destinies and careers. So let's get on our horses with Mars and Mercury. So what is Mars when we're looking at this conjunction? Well, Mars, as you know, is a warrior. He's a fighter. He's a god of war. Mars represents your aggressiveness. Mars represents your willpower. Mars represents your strength within, your ability to compete, your ability to fight, and your ability to be disciplined enough to follow the righteous path in this life. As much as people think that, okay, this is all about fighting, no. Mars is simply a soldier. He's here to protect and serve. That's Mars's short form definition, protect and serve. He's here to protect the people of the kingdom, and he's here to serve the king. And Mars knows that the king will always look out for the people and will not take advantage of the people. So Mars is this disciplinarian person who wakes up in the morning, drinks his, raw eggs, does his push-ups, lifts weights, meditates, and puts his outfit on, whether it is, police work, Superman, Batman, whoever. He's that hero that once he puts that outfit on, he's out there now protecting and serving. That's what Mars is. Mars is your courage in this day and age. Mars also represents engineering and technology as well. Mars is all the technical things, because back then a blacksmith was considered a Martian person. Blacksmith had to be a very constructive, engineering-like person who had to make the sword, make everything through his technical skills. That's what Mars is. Now, what is Mercury? Mercury is linguistics, languages. Mercury is your analytical and logical skills, your comprehension, your ability to comprehend things. Mercury is your communication. Mercury is your speech. Mercury is your ability to relate to people, and Mercury is your ability to kind of find the little joys in life. Mercury is all about mimicking and having fun and joking around as well. But sometimes Mercury is also serious, because it rules the sign of Gemini, which is fun and, singing and communicating and social networking. And then it's the 6th house. It's about communicating for the righteous things. It's about communicating for the social welfare and social reform. He takes the message of the king very seriously and delivers it any means how. That's what Mercury is. So now we need to figure out what happens when they are together. Okay, so let's talk about the actual conjunction now. So Mars and Mercury conjunction makes a person very, very aggressive in their speech. These are the people who say when they want, what they want, and how they want. Because what happens with this person is they simply want to make a point quickly and aggressively, so you get the message. Because remember, Saturn and Mercury conjunction, where I talked about how it's a straightforward communication. They go and tell you what is happening, okay? But they're patient enough to do that. Here, Mars and Mercury are all like, okay, move. I need to make a point. Okay, you better do this or you're going to be fired because this project is important for me. And if this doesn't work out, your ass is gone. That's what Mercury Mars is. Where Saturn is this. Saturn Mercury conjunction is like they come up to you. Listen, things are kind of not working out right now. I need you to pick up the pace because this is important for us. And, here's all the explanation as to why I'm telling you this, but it must be done. Okay, so if you can get this done in time, it'll be great. That's Mercury and Saturn. But Mercury Mars is like, hey, listen to me. If it's not done, your ass is out of here. You got that? That's what they are. Mercury and Mars is also a natural debater. When you speak back to them, they're like, oh, no. Oh, no, you didn't. Like your girlfriend goes like, oh, no, you didn't. What you say to me, huh? That's what they got. Like, they're the people who are just waiting for you to revert back to them so they can go attack again. What happens with Mercury and Mars, they are the natural debaters in every aspect of life. They must win that battle. This is why they initiate that conversation. They go aggressively to you, to talk to you, to make a point where you might say something back, because now Mars' energy is there. Mars is like, oh no, I'm a warrior, I'm a fighter, I have to win this battle. If I'm here, I'm going to put my flag down and say, I won this. So they like that argument. They like to have a debate with you, no matter if it's useless or useful, but until they win that battle, they don't rest. And this is like you can say this is their biggest downfall, and you can say this is their biggest assets, because they do not back down from what they have to say. So if this Mercury and Mars are working in a positive favor, they can make great, political activists who are out there standing and saying what they believe in, and they will not back down until you give them a proper answer. And if you don't give them a proper answer, they'll keep coming at you. So great political debaters are seen from this. Social activists are seen from this. But most importantly, lawyers are seen from this. What is the job of a lawyer? Who is a lawyer, if you really ask me that? Lawyer is a fighter, right? He fights for his clients. What is Mars? Mars is a person who fights. So Mars becomes a karka of a lawyer, not the person who writes the law, but a lawyer. Jupiter writes the higher law, right? He writes the higher spiritual law. Mercury kind of becomes that planet who writes that law of the land, what the king says. He's the messenger of the king, the government. So he's saying the government is saying this, this, and this. These are the laws that are passed. So he kind of becomes the lawyer who writes the law, the government law. So when you bring these two together, shows a person who will be a great aggressive lawyer. And especially if they influence your second house, then you earn your money through debating, through law. But also, we got to understand Mercury's languages. Linguistics. Whether it's your French, English, whatever language it is. Spanish. Mercury's languages. But Saturn is what? Saturn is also an engineer. Saturn is a technical person. So nowadays, when you involve technology, engineering with languages, what does it become? Technical language, computer science. Mercury and Mars play a pivotal role in people selecting their majors as computer science. People who go into software engineering will also have Rahu involved, either on the second house or upon these two planets, or on the fifth house, where somebody will go into software engineering, app development. I am in an area where you are surrounded by multimillionaires who are like 17, 18 years old. They're developing apps, putting them on Apple Store and Google Store, and literally overnight becoming millionaires. It's nothing nowadays. Especially in Silicon Valley, it's whatever. You made $1 million? Okay, fine. Once you make $1 billion, come and talk to us. That's how aggressive this is. So that's what you see from Mercury-Mars conjunction. Mercury-Mars conjunction, see, remember, Mercury's hands, movement of the hands, okay? Mars is action, physical action. You will see great martial artists from this. You will see people who use their hands to play sports like football, American football, basketball. You will see like tennis players with this. Martial artist, because martial arts, why? Okay, I'm crazy, I know, I'm eccentric. What can I say? I'm crazy, I was born crazy, shit. So that's what Mercury and Mars really show. Somebody who's just very good with their hands. So when it comes to writing, they're very aggressive in writing. They will write, and they will write with this aggressive message to make a point, to win a debate. Political writers, freedom writers. Kind of like, I remember, I think I saw the horoscope of Arundhati Roy. I think she had this conjunction. I haven't looked at her chart in a long time, but I think she had this conjunction. So political writers are seen from this. However, in a conjunction, house placement matters, sign placement matters, nakshatra placement matters, but most importantly, the degree placement matters. Who is holding the lowest degrees in the conjunction? Does Mars hold the lowest degree or Mercury holds the lowest degrees? Because a planet with the lowest degrees becomes a stronger planet. So let's discuss what happens when you have each of these planets holding a certain type of degree. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention is that Mercury is your nervous system. And when Mars is very closely conjunct to Mercury, what happens is your nervous system goes into this hypertension mode. So, people who have the hypertension syndrome, they're the ones with this kind of fake conjunction, where Mars suddenly puts the nervous system on the 6th gear, where they're always just doing something. They need to do something. Also, this, as you know, Mercury represents memory. And here, Mars, because of its hypertension, shows short-term memory as well. Like, these people are like doing something, they forget it, they're starting to do something, like just within seconds they might forget something, and they're like, wait, did I do this? They'll go back and revert back to those things. So that's something you will also notice. Now, this is not something that will make you not functionable in society. I mean, you'll see gazillions of people who are literally millionaires, billionaires with this conjunction. It's an asset. Some people will say this is a disadvantage for you. It'll make you ADD, ADHD, you will not be able to concentrate on things. But on the other hand, this can make you an entrepreneur who's like, I'm bored with this, okay, let's go to the next one. I'm bored with this, let's go to the next one. That's what happens. Now, if in this conjunction, Mars holds the lowest degrees, okay? So let's say Mars is at 10 degrees, Mercury is at 14 degrees, 11 degrees, 15 degrees. What happens now is that Mercury is now sitting on the throne of Mars. So everything that you say, everything that you speak, you're going to want to win in a situation. For some reason, these guys get into every single conversation that is about winning. They have to win a certain communication, whether literary or verbal, they have to win it. They're very aggressive in their sports. Remember that girlfriend that's like, oh no, you didn't, what you said to me, I want to hear it again, come again. That's Mars holding the lowest degree, because now their communication is always on an attack mode. Communication is always on this 6th gear. And especially their communication will most likely in this day and age, and especially certain countries, will be used towards technical languages. They're all about wanting to learn the technical language, all about wanting to learn C++ and Java and how many languages out there? There are like freaking 50 languages now. I'm still stuck in 2000 when they had C++, HTML and Java. But I know there's a lot more there is now, okay? But that's where now Mercury also shows tremendous interest towards that technical language. But no matter what, it always comes down to having to win that conversation. Having to, go towards winning what you set out to say. And you will not quit until you have put that flag on. So that's what happens when Mars holds the lowest degrees, because Mars becomes very strong. And their words, especially with Mars holding the lowest degrees, the words will always hurt other people, because Mars represents sharp objects. It's like you cutting somebody with a sword. Now, instead of the sword, you have the word. So it comes out and it pierces through and cuts through you. They'll tell you blunt. You know those, when you're in high school, you go to some party or a girl and you run into all these blonde group of girls who are simply look at you like, huh, why are you here? You're ugly. So that this is the immature part of the conjunction in the early age. And you will see that they hurt somebody with their words. Now, let's talk about when Mercury holds the lowest degree and Mars holds the highest degree. So let's say if Mars is holding the highest degree. So let's say Mercury is at 10 degrees and Mars is at 14, 15, 16 degrees in your horoscope. So what's happening is that Mars is on the throne of Mercury. What happens now is that speech, communication, logical and analytical thinking is becoming the aggressive force. So with these people, what happens is that they love to write and communicate very aggressively. They will write very fast. They will communicate and they will talk. And for them, having a conversation really fast, having a conversation in a mode where they're simply talking very fast and they're talking to cut through and pierce in you through their communicative ability. Here, Mercury says that, look, I am all about communication. I'm all about sending the message. Now that I'm holding the lowest degree, here, Mars, what your duty is to deliver my message as quickly as possible, as fast as possible. So these are the people, are those great journalists, those investigative journalists who are in the middle of a war and they're like, okay, how do I get this the quickest way? You know, remember that guy on Twitter when they were raiding down the house of Osama bin Laden and he was like tweeting out what's happening? He's like giving you live coverage of what's happening. It's Mercury, the communication at work, very fast and very aggressively. So this may not be as much as these can mix. Sure, they may have a very sharp tongue. They may, again, hurt you. But the bottom line of this thing is how do I communicate aggressively? How do I communicate where everybody just knows what's happening now? Also, the houses will matter. Which house this conjunction is placed in, who's holding the lowest degree, will show you at which area of life you're really trying to get out and communicate with, or which area of life you're really trying to get out and win a battle with, win that debate with. So that's what happens with this thing. And especially with, you will notice that when Mercury holds the lowest degree, you will have a younger sibling who will be very aggressive in communication. And they will talk very fast to you. And if you have Mars holding the lowest degree, you will notice that your male friends or your brother will be very aggressive and very cutthroat in their way to communicating with you. Because remember, Mercury represents siblings, Mars actually represents male friends and male boyfriends, or your male brother. So that also you will notice with these conjunctions with whoever holds the highest and lowest degrees. But mainly with this conjunction, it's like your communication is on steroids. It's just out there to either communicate really fast or out there to win a battle through communication. Okay? So guys, this is my analysis of Mercury and Mars conjunction. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your Mercury is placed and or if you have this conjunction, for that, check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, books, and consultations. Otherwise, we'll see you next week with our new series of nakshatras.